Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on where you are. We'll just wait a minute or two and then we will start off. I see a couple of folks are trickling in. All right, guess we can get started. My name is Muralidharan Palanisamy. I'm the CSO for AppUX. I'll be taking you through the webinar where we focus on how we can minimize the outages and using automation, how we can troubleshoot faster and reduce outages. So before we move into the webinar, let me give you a quick overview of our company. So AppUX is focused on low-code automation, low-code or no-code automation, enabling NetOps and SecOps teams to easily consume and deliver services within their environment, within the internal teams. Our primary focus is automation and orchestration, primarily on the network and the security infrastructure. So our customers, customer profile is Fortune 500 and medium and large companies, and they are using AppUX at scale. So we are spread across the globe. We are a global company, and we are presence in 7 locations across the globe. That's a quick overview of our company. And today we will look at network errors and how automation can prevent those manual errors and outages that are caused in the enterprise. We will also look at AppUX platform and what it has to offer from an automation perspective. And we will also look at 4 ways to minimize outages in an enterprise environment. And we will spend a few minutes for Q&A at the end. So when we look at network errors, manual tasks are prone to errors, and especially when there are multiple vendors and a complex network is involved, and change windows which span across a global enterprise, there tends to be different time zones where you need to work and implement, and this could be at 2 a.m. because of the change window timelines where a human is implementing a change, which all the fatigue and all that, it is prone to cause errors, right, when it is manually implemented. And a simple error could cause a huge outage and a huge financial loss or reputational loss and catastrophic loss as well. What Gartner says is that by 2023, majority of the tasks in a data center would be automated. Right now, it is probably 1/3 of what it will be, and majority of the task is going to be automated. And that's what Gartner has analyzed. And enterprises should be looking at automation right now. We have seen certain enterprises to be early adopters where they have deployed teams focused on automation. There are enterprises which have defined a vertical which is focused only on automation. Right? So depending on the level of the level of or the space that you are in, right? Whether you're an early adopter or mid-level or slow adapter to the automation, irrespective of where you are, you have to look at the automation irrespective. Right? Now let's look at AppUX platform. What AppUX platform provides or offers is it offers a modular, low-code automation environment. So with this, you get an intuitive, context-aware visual workflow with which you can build your own flows, build your own automation engines. Now, the way we approach this is we give you bricks and mortar so that you can build your own wall. Or in other words, we'll give you the Lego blocks with which you can build your own flow. So the Lego blocks could be supporting firewalls or ADCs or certificates and whatnot, DNS, DDI, whatever it is. So using those, you can build your own use case in a more low code or no code way. So the platform provides a more application centric view. So quite so often we see in data centers that a firewall or an ADC could be deployed, could be running multiple applications, right? So instead of looking at it from a device perspective or data center perspective, we look at it from an application perspective. From an application perspective, we are able to manage different horizontally across different infrastructure from network and security. This reduces a lot of complexity for the app owner, and with the DevOps movement and application being the core, helps speed up and understand the different layers and of network and security, and how you can look at overall managing the uptime of the application. Now, the AppUX platform, this is a crowded slide, so let me try to break it up. So at the center is the multi-vendor ecosystem that we support. So this is a constantly growing list of vendors that we support, and it has integrations with PAM, like CyberArk and Vault and all that, and integrates with ServiceNow, Remedy, and all the change management utilities. But at the same time, providing DNS, ADC, firewall, certificate, and all the different aspects of data center services that you are using. Now, this could be in a hybrid environment, could be on an on-prem or a cloud, respective, you're able to consume it irrespective of where they are. Now, the personas that are consuming could be different personas, and you can provide a granular role-based access control for each of those personas consuming those services across different environments. Now, let's look at how we can reduce the risk, but at the same time, automate your services. Now, what AppUX provides is it provides a topology mapping of your application. So you're able to see a live map of how your application is deployed. You're able to manage critical applications with a custom dashboard where you are able to define how your application needs to look for your level 1 operations team. You're able to troubleshoot faster because you get an application perspective view of the infrastructure, and you're able to see all the different levels and layers that are there, and you can self-serve yourselves with those, and you can define a catalog. Individual federated teams can define a catalog and publish it to those individual owners who can self-serve themselves. It sort of gives you a more it sort of gives a paradigm shift in how you manage your infrastructure with application perspective. Now, the live topology mapping, this is basically application dependency mapping. This gives you a view of your application delivery infrastructure and gives you state, status, and statistics of all the different components in what we call the infra map. So this is more of a logical mapping. This is not the physical mapping of the infrastructure. It's a more high-level logical mapping of how things are. So, for example, if you look at AppUX or an application like AppUX, which is running in a bank in 22 nodes across the globe. Now, in that particular case, they might have a Visio as to how it is deployed, but then that tends to change in a virtual environment. So for you to see a point in time view as to how it is when there is a problem, if you want to troubleshoot, you pull up this infomap. It basically gives you a view of how it is deployed across the globe. And whether it is firewall team, ADC team, certificate team, whatnot, WAF team, GIS team, they are all looking at one view and they are able to collaborate and understand what is happening in that infomap, in that particular environment. Now, you also have a capability to define a custom dashboard. Now, what this does is you can define your application the way you want to see it. For example, I have my application running on 3 data centers. I want to see the traffic going to each of those data centers. You can define that view. You're able to see that view as to how it is deployed and how it is currently used and traffic being distributed in all those data centers. Sort of gives a very easy level 1 operations view of how the state of the network is today. Right? This sort of enables them to quickly troubleshoot to see if any one of those data centers are disabled or inactive because of a network issue or anything like that. You'll be able to see the dip in traffic and when it happened and a whole bunch of other things. With faster troubleshooting, we provide ways where you can define troubleshooting commands or troubleshooting flows to validate how your application is working. You define that in Infomap so that between point A to point B, what are the things that you want to see and validate, with which you can trigger a utility with which it will check all those endpoints and report into you as to where things are breaking. So this helps you validate how your infrastructure is or how your application communication is between those infrastructure. So that you can keep it as simple as you need or how complex as you need, depending on how much you want to validate and troubleshoot automatically. Regarding self-servicing, I spoke about giving you Lego blocks. So using the Lego blocks, you can build your own flow and you can publish your flow for the application owners to consume and self-serve on their own. Whether it is updating a firewall rule with additional service ports or when they update or cycle a server or add a new server or add a point of presence, they can self-serve themselves within the boundaries of what you give them. Right? You can give a granular access control to them, and they within that boundary they can manage and work on that, and you can granularly isolate and access control them across the board. Let me jump into a quick demo to walk you through what it means in a real life environment. Right? I'll quickly touch upon it. I'm not going to go through a detailed demo. It's a quick 10-minute demo of the product. So this is AppUX. This is the later version of AppUX. So let me log in. I will quickly walk you through how it looks and what are the modules are there. So when you log in, you're taken to a welcome screen which has the different product modules. In there is a welcome page with a service catalog. So this service catalog, you can define it based on what you want to publish internally for ADC, firewall, certificate, and all that. So you can define your catalog that you want to publish. And in there are some help capabilities. If you want to say, I want to compare a device configuration, if you want to know how to do it, just click on it. It'll give you a quick GIF image, which quickly takes you through what you need to do and how you can do that, and then see the results quickly there. So it sort of gives a quick snapshot on how things are. and you're able to see and compare and all those things. So this sort of is a quick help capability. And there is also an option where if you want to um, have a detailed walkthrough, you just click on it. It'll guide you through the steps as to what you need to do. It's basically, if you don't know how to do it, just expand this. It'll tell you where to click and what to do and what not, right? And it will walk you through step by step in every aspect of it. That said, let me jump into App Vision, which gives you the application perspective view. So I want to look at my application, which is e-commerce. Um, so I pull up my e-commerce application, which is deployed in 2 data centers. So this sort of gives me a quick snapshot of how things are. There are 2 data centers using 2 different firewalls, and there are 2 load balancers, and there are servers and certificates deployed all over. So this quickly tells me how it is and how the health score is, and it tells me all the objects and how many are up and down based on the stats that it collected and based on the troubleshooting configuration that I had it. So 67% of the objects are up and some are down. I can click and then go look at it in detail. Or I can click on the reports, which will actually tell me what all has changed, whether it is logs, alerts, or configurations have changed, or there are change requests. So if there is a request, a user submitted a change request or made a change, that configuration drift will show you execute a change, and then you'll also see the request that is related to the change. So all that comes in one place, in one view, where you're able to see for your application. Now, this particular firewall could have 20 or 100 changes for 100 different applications, but you are able to see your application's view, right? And that said, you can also have changes or actions. So you can define actions that are published to you and troubleshooting tasks that are published to you, and you can execute or you can view output of those. And this could be different for different objects or um, different objects in the infra map. So this is a dynamic map based on the configuration that is deployed. Um, that said, let me quickly move into the studio where the Lego blocks and the magic happens. Right. So here, if you go to the studio, let me pull up a workflow. So this is a sample workflow where we use the Lego blocks to build a flow, right? In this particular use case, the ones that are in green are a flow in itself. So for example, the F5 team will create a flow and they will publish it for other teams to consume. So if I double click this, it will tell me what it is doing. So there is a form based on that. It is generating and doing some pre-validation, post-validation, implementation, a whole bunch of stuff, right? This is published as a form. Now, the actual flow, the main flow is consuming that, right? And then creating a larger form. So when you want to deploy an application, you might need an Infoblox, a DNS, reserve an IP address in IPAM, create a change ticket in ServiceNow, and then deploy a global load balancer, local load balancer, ASM, AFM, whatnot. You can have all those segregated. It could be different teams or same team, and each one can publish their own flow. All that gets collated into a single flow, and you are able to walk through the whole deployment. So this is the more of a mechanics dashboard, or the inner workings of it as to how you would set up, how you would configure, and all that. An end user doesn't see this, right? An administrator or the mechanic sees this. An end user's dashboard, right? But before that, let me touch upon some of the mechanics dashboard's capabilities. You have Lego blocks like, you know, uh, if then, switch and loops and REST APIs and scripts and whatnot. So you can use all these things. All you need to do is just drag and drop and deploy it there. You can also leverage Ansible playbooks in there. So you just have to drag and drop and then connect them across to use this, right? So that said, there are some UI tasks, there are integrations and stores that we publish, there are FAQs with which you can go look at and then create your own flows and all that. These are all mechanics dashboard, right? So let's look at how a user is going to see it. From a user perspective, he's going to look at the request. The way he's going to do is, let me open a closed request. I'll walk you through how that's going to look. So this is a user's dashboard. So he would have a simple form where he has to fill in, and once he fills that in, it goes through the next steps in the task, and then goes and completes the workflow. Now, once it is completed, this is like a DVR. You can go back, look at each of those requests, whether the request was submitted using an API or another orchestration system, whether this was requested from ServiceNow or AppUX UI or a REST API, doesn't matter. The replay remains the same. So it sort of helps an easy way of troubleshooting what was requested and what was generated and what was implemented at any given time. You're able to go replay all this and find out. Now, the benefit of this is that irrespective of who the consumer is, right? You might publish this flow. There could be an OpenStack or a Terraform-based CI/CD pipeline, DevOps pipeline, or there could be a human filling the form. Anybody can be consuming it, but when there is a problem, they call you, right? Now you need to know what that DevOps script that they used called and implemented, because if you don't know if it automatically implemented on the device, you have to go figure out on the device as to what happened and troubleshoot. Instead, here you can come in, pull up the request for that particular application. You're able to see exactly what did they requested and what was implemented, and you are able to trace through and go back and see what has happened, right? At the same time, you can go into that infra map view and you can run troubleshoot and then see what is valid and what is not. That's a quick 10-minute demo. There's a lot of functionalities in there. I'm not going to touch upon all that, but just gives a quick sneak peek as to what the product does, right? That said, I will pause there for questions that you might have. So if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A window, the chat window, and you can paste your questions, and we will take that up and answer it. All right, we have a question. What are the integrations that you have from ADC perspective? So the integrations that we support, rather, from an ADC perspective, all the known ADC vendors are supported by AppUX. That said, we also support Ansible playbooks as part of the integrations. So you can use, if you have your own script or if you have your own Ansible playbooks, or you can natively support devices with AppUX as well. All the major ADCs, primarily F5 and Nginx. So you can have a single interface for automating F5 and Nginx. With the whole F5 acquiring Nginx, it sort of becomes more relevant now. Okay, if you have any questions, any other questions, please post there. Okay. Is the workflow you demoed and same as low code feature you mentioned? Is there more to that? Yes, there is. I just gave you a sneak peek um, of what uh, what we offer, but then there is a lot more integrations that we publish out of the blocks. There is also IO mappings and you know how you could easily use those integrations that we publish, right? Um, you can sign up for a demo and then we can walk you through in detail as to what all we offer, what all the platform offers, um, as a whole. There are quite a bit of integrations that we offer. The concept is pretty straightforward. The concept is we publish um, those Lego blocks, and you can use the Lego blocks to build your flow, right? And we give you tools to map the input and output of those Lego blocks so that you can seamlessly use it. You can also build your own Lego blocks. There with which you can create your own reports with a very simple, seamless way of collecting the data and then presenting it in as a graph the way you want it, bar, pie chart, etc. Have integrations where there is approvals and emails, pagers. A lot of those such integrations are there where as part of the flow you can do that as well. You can also type your questions in chat. I think this one came in the chat. So if you want to type your question on the Q&A section or on the chat, both ways we will be able to answer. All right, any other questions? I think that's all. So you can go to our website. There's a live demo. You can sign up for it, or you can also sign up for a free trial, and we can set you up in our cloud environment, or you can deploy it on-prem as well. So please feel free to share your comments and questions to us. You can send your details to info@appux.com if you have any comments. Thanks everyone. Thank you for your time. And we'll meet in another webinar in near future. Thank you. Bye.